Hey everyone, Ben Nelson here. It is time for another market update, and I hope you're ready. It's gonna be fun. Not actually, there's a lot going on, especially with interest rates and inflation. So that's for sure something we'll touch on. A lot of that's just kind of wait and see, but yeah, lots going on. Let's just jump right into it and go from there. And of course, my phone rings. So even though I thought I turned it off, but okay, market action report. Let's jump in here and take a look at some of the numbers. New listings are down. Actually, pretty much everything's down from the prior month and from last year, but that this is October, so very common for we're hitting that seasonal time where less people are putting their homes on the market. It's just getting into a slower time of year. People, kids have gone back to school. We're heading into the holidays here soon, so we kind of hit that time of year where people slow down looking. That said, we still have a big drop. Well, not a big drop, but we dropped back below 1 month of inventory. So obviously there's still closings happening, and there's still people out there buying. So yeah, definitely. We just have been hovering. We were barely over 1 month last month for September. We've been hovering under that for the entire year, and we're just going to continue to carry that forward into next year. So closed sales decreased versus last year, decreased a little bit from the prior month, September. So again, just a little bit of a decrease. And again, I would attribute a lot of that to just continued lack of inventory. There is still a lot of competition for the right homes. Just had some buyers close on a couple, and they were definitely one of multiple offers, and we had to go above asking quite a bit to get the house. So it's still happening. We're just not seeing maybe 10 or 15 offers. We're seeing a handful, but it's still super competitive. We're still seeing appraisal waivers and or not appraisal waivers, but the fill-in coming in with that willingness to pay any appraisal gap or up to a certain amount. So we're seeing that. We're seeing shortened inspection times. We're seeing inspection waivers. I'd never do that or never encourage that. Of course, I can't talk a buyer into it if they're adamant about it, but I always encourage, I would never encourage a buyer to waive inspections just to get their offer accepted. That's just not worth the risk, in my opinion. I'll just skim through this real quick. So actually, I was kind of expecting it to be interesting to see next month when November numbers come out, but I was kind of expecting the average sale price to come down from the prior month, because that's, you can see that peak into the summer and then you see it pull back a little bit, but we actually still had a slight month-over-month increase in pricing. Here's the charts. Active residential listings, we're still way down here, just under 3,000 active residential listings, and new listings, we're right in there. We're right in where we had been for new listings. So that part's all been trending. We just don't have the total inventory that we had a couple years ago here. And the impending sales right on pace with where they were last year, and closed sales way up. So yeah, you can see, like I said, it's slight decrease, but compared to the prior couple years, and this is obviously the green here is the COVID craze after we see the dip here, and then just the craziness with closings. And then, so we're right on pace with that. So we just had large numbers last year. So a slight dip is not, it's a dip off of a large number. And then, market time's creeping up just a little bit. So that is it there. I'm going to just jump into interest rates, and then I'm going to talk about net migration, because that's another. So inventory is one thing for sure. What are inventory levels? Part of what affects inventory levels, because it's not just the number of houses on the market, it is how fast are those being absorbed. Part of that is who's buying. So, and part of that is population growth, and are people moving here, and are we having new home buyers coming to the market? So I'm going to pull this other one. Actually, let's go on to interest rates first. Lots in the news with interest rates. It's been a topic of conversation for a long time because there's, they've just have been low for so long. This is just a Google search for news. And, stagflation has been in the talk for the last few months. We're just not seeing a lot of growth, but we're seeing inflation. So there's just a lot of theories out there on what's going on in the economy and what's going to happen. And no matter what anybody says, and all these experts and people that are pulling the levers on our economy, nobody really knows for sure. Everybody says that they know how, we do this and then this happens, but there's so many moving parts. They can have an educated guess, but it doesn't always work out the way that they are predicting it to when they pull a lever. So there's a lot of, I still think that they're going to hold lower, but they're watching inflation, and depending on how inflation is going and they're continuing to see more and more of it, that could get them a little bit more aggressive. They did start tapering with their asset purchases, which affects rates, but yeah. So most everything that you see, the predictions are that interest rates should still stay low, but there's for sure, in my opinion, the possibility that those predictions could be a little aggressive and that they could take up this next year. So it's a great time to buy, I think, right now, because you're kind of in a little bit slower time. There's not as much price growth right now, but all the predictions for, not all, I shouldn't say all, the majority of the predictions for market growth next year for the Portland metro area and for interest rates, so are all markets going to continue to grow, and prices are going to continue to climb, and then interest rates do have a chance and likely will go up at least a little bit. They're going to do some rate hikes next year. How much and when, I don't know. We will see. But rising prices and rising interest rates is absolutely going to affect your purchasing power. So right now is a great time to get in before we see both of those things go up and affect your monthly payment. I'm going to jump into population growth here real quick, and I'm going to just, I think I'll be out after that and make this kind of short and sweet. I got a couple to jump over to here. So this one right here was really interesting to me. This is showing the population. So Oregon's 2020 natural population growth was lowest on record. Okay, so that's births versus deaths. So natural growth, that's this part, the lighter part, that was, you can see how much lower it is. But so this actually concerned me a little bit when I looked at it, because, you can see the spike in the mid 2000s when we had a large number of growth. We had a pretty good chunk of net migration, and then also some natural increase. And then you can see it trend down. And then this is when, everybody was talking about, oh my gosh, everybody's moving to Portland, right, over the last decade. And then you see it start to come down like this. So, you see a trend, right? And so it just makes you wonder what's going on here. And is this trend going to continue? And are we going to start to see negative population growth, which would obviously have an effect on housing if we're continuing to build, which we are. It just takes time. It's a slow process to add inventory. But if you've got that going on, and then you've got net migration negative or slowing significantly, that's when you run into market issues where you have oversupply and then falling prices because you have too much inventory. So I looked further into it, and I'm going to pull up this other one. Because you can't just take one piece of data and make it. People do it all the time, but it's not the right way to look at data. You can't just take one piece of data, or you shouldn't just take one piece of data and draw a conclusion from it, because you're probably not going to be very accurate with it. You want to add other sources that are going to confirm it, or you want to add other sources that are maybe going to bring some additional information to light and make a more clear picture of what's actually going on. So this one is, which one is this? Let's see. Oh, this is over the last, this is from the last year. This is 2018, 2019 total net domestic migration. So if you ran the numbers, oh, and I already unshared that screen, but the growth from 2020, natural growth, I'm sorry, not natural growth, the net migration growth. This is migration rate per 1,000 inhabitants. And this is over the prior year, 6.12. And it was right in that same ballpark. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you can see, obviously, Idaho growing like crazy. Nevada, Arizona, South Carolina, these are all states that are growing a ton from net migration. But Oregon is still in there. Their migration for how large, because we're a small state. We're, just over, I think we're 4.2 million as a state. So it takes a lot less to make an impact, right? So we're still right up there, though. We're in the top 10 for sure. If you're doing it based on per 1,000 current inhabitants. And there's a lot of states that, are on the other end of it. They're seeing a big loss of migration, people moving out. So that was one thing that I was looking at. This is, of course, 2018 versus 19. If you look back at the other graph, it was a little higher that year, but not by much when you take out the natural aspect of it. And then here's a couple, these were interesting. These are maps of where people are moving to. This first one, I kind of take it with a grain of salt, but let's see, state. Okay, this is not the one I was going to go to, but this is showing by the county level. So red means negative, dark blue is positive by a lot, and then the light blue is positive by a little. So yeah, for the most part, Oregon has, and this is 2019 to June 2020. So this is, from 6 months ago or something, but it still shows, not a whole lot has changed since then. And you can see that most of the counties are experiencing, there's a couple that have had some negative growth, but most of the, the main counties here, Tri-County area, and most of the other ones, Deschutes, of course, have been growing a lot. I'm not going to share the other one. It shows where did Americans move in 2020. It shows Oregon as number 3. This one's from United Van Lines, or the largest moving company in the United States. And so they track where their trucks go and all of that. But it's another data point, but it's just one source. People obviously use other resources to move. So it's definitely not everybody that's moved in or out of a state. So there you have it. So Portland, still a great market, very, very low inventory. We're continuing to try to add inventory, but it's a struggle. It's still plenty of people moving here. It's trended down a little bit, but I don't think that's going to, that trend is going to continue to the point where it's negative. I think we're going to continue to see positive net migration. People love it here. The weather and all of the outdoor activities, the mountain, the beaches, you're close to everything. It's green. Got the river. If people are looking for the outdoor living experience, and then the trendiness of Portland, and Portland has, good jobs. Amazon's building a facility in Woodburn. That's a huge fulfillment center. So they wouldn't be doing that if they didn't feel good about the general market. So there's still a lot of great indicators for Portland. Again, if you're thinking about moving and you haven't made that move yet, it's not necessarily a good thing for you if you don't have something you're selling to trade, because you're probably going to be paying more next year than you are right now. So I'd encourage you to get off the fence, or give me a call. We'll chat about it, and we will see what it takes to get you into a home before we see continued increase in price. Again, the median, I don't remember. I don't actually, no, I have it right here. I just don't have it screen shared. Median price is, let's see, median price is $460 as of October. And we saw 16.7% increase So if we see even 10% next year, that's another $50,000, right? You're paying over $500,000 next year for something that's 460 right now. Don't wait. Don't let that happen to you, and with potentially higher interest rates as well. So give me a call, shoot me a message, text, let me know what I can do to help. And I'm happy to do whatever I can to help you get from where you are to where you want to go. Thanks again, and make it a great rest of the day. We'll see you guys later.